For the mother who feels like you've already failed or fallen behind, this is the conversation and the book for you. It's never too late to become a mother of change. Welcome to the Tenpenny Files, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. If it matters to your body, your freedom, or your future, we talk about it here. And there's something new every single day. So you'll want to join us daily. We talk about politics and history and astronomy. We talk about pets and travel, food, fitness, and farming. We talk about vaccines and health policy. And at least once a week, I have a conversation with a pastor or an author who talks about faith and biblical principles. So join me here every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Tenpenny Files, where we hear from voices who've often been ignored and silenced. Before we begin today's episode, I want to encourage everyone to become a Tenpenny Prime member. You can learn more about our program and hopefully support our work by going to primemembership.drtenpenny.com, primemembership.drtenpenny.com to learn more. And one last thing, welcome to all of our regular followers and listeners, and welcome to all the new people who are just coming on board and just learning about our show. Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Now, let's get started. Today's conversation is with the founder of Mother of Change Foundation, best-selling author, and leading child protection advocate, EmmaSara McMillion, to talk about her book, Becoming Mother of Change: Strategies to Build a Kingdom Family and Combat Darkness. And it says it all right there in the title. So, EmmaSara, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so appreciative of you being on the Tenpenny Files.
Thank you for having me. I'm
You know,
happy to be
you,
here.
your book is direct and unapologetic. It's just really good. What
Thank
compelled
you.
you to write it with that level of boldness?
Honestly, it was an assignment from the Lord. I was in prayer one day and I heard God's voice say I needed to write this book. And to be honest with you, to be transparent with you, when I felt that calling, I actually kind of stepped back and I didn't want to do it because I knew that whatever I was going to pen in that book, the enemy was going to come and try to attack. I have a big family, and I thought I really don't need any extra spiritual attacks because I'm trying to do something with this book and help other moms. And so that's fear. We have to deal with that. The enemy's going to attack no matter what, but we have to be obedient. And as far as bold and apologetic, I am somebody who is like, I just don't shriek back from anything. And so if I'm going to give somebody a piece of information, I'm going to give it wholeheartedly, truthful, honest, with integrity, but with boldness and fire. So that's just kind of my personality.
It's really, really good. Well, it comes through in your writing. And I just love the table of contents in your book that you can go to directly what you need in the moment for your
Yes.
food and your spiritual growth. And that's what makes it evergreen and usable for years as a manual guide. And you're so uplifting and you're like, go mama, go rah rah TT and everything that you write. So that insight is in such a great style of how you've got children of all ages. You've got lots of ages of children. Is that how you decided to break down your book in the way that you do in the table of contents?
Well, I have eight kids from the ages of 8 to 26. One will be 27 this summer. So I say there's a million McMillions. That's my last name. I introduced myself as a woman who never wanted to have kids, but God has a sense of humor because now the woman who never wanted kids has a Mother of Change book, Mother of Change Foundation, and a million McMillions. So why did I break it down? Very simply, I am a very kind of incremental type of mindset. I see things in sections and I feel like it helps moms who we're already overwhelmed with life. Whether you have one kid or you have eight kids like me, mom life doesn't stop, and there's always just things flying at you. So I figured if I could just make a book that has very small sections, a mom could really go any. I say it's a mom's manual for life. And so if a mom is having, like you said, an issue, whether it is a lack of communication with her child, or maybe she's having a situation where she needs some personal development encouragement, she can say, you know what, I'm feeling like this mom right now. And I talk about types of moms in there. So she can say, I'm feeling like this today and I need some encouragement. And how do I overcome this? So I give some tools in every chapter. And I've had moms go, I mean, it's 400 pages, and I always say, don't let that discourage you or, make you feel like it's overwhelming, because every single chapter you can show up for one chapter and get everything you need for encouragement just by reading a small little chapter for that, for that day or that week even.
Well, that's really why you say it is a manual for life, and it really
Mhm.
is. And as soon as I read through it, I told you before we went live on this recording is that I actually bought a copy of your book and sent it to a young mom that I know that she has a little boy I think he just turned 2, and I know that the way that this book is written, it will be a manual for life for her as he's growing up. It'll be something really, really important for her to have. Many parents just feel so overwhelmed and they're not really sure where to start. And where does lasting change really begin? Why does it really begin in the home?
Well, I always say that the future of our nation rests upon the shoulders of moms to create change. And I do want to say thank you for getting the book. That's a great blessing to me. But I do want to say that with motherhood, there is a lot of guilt that comes along with it. But the number one thing, if you read it, you're going to see that, yes, I'm an encourager, but at the same time, a realist. And part of the realism is that as a mother and as just a human being, the best way that we can create change at home is just, first of all, taking some personal accountability, but without shame. And so, really, it's a mom's manual for life. And when I say manual for life, it's not just a parenting book. It's not just a James Dobson book, which I read James Dobson back in the day. It's not just this is what Susie's doing and this is how to deal with Susie. This is about a mom. And at the helm of everything I do is that I understand that we're individuals, we're women first. We're a whole person before we even are a mother or a wife. And so a lot of times moms get so wrapped up in I'm a mom and I have to be, they feel like a slave or they feel like a martyr that they feel like they lose themselves in motherhood. And I think the strongest thing that we can be as mothers is women who know who we are and know how we want to show up for the day and then take accountability when we make mistakes, brush ourselves off, get up, dust ourselves off and start fresh. And it's okay to make mistakes. And I think that motherhood is the strongest when we identify our weaknesses and build our strengths.
Wow, that's really, really true. And you talk a lot about in your book about breaking generational cycles. What are the
Yeah.
most common patterns that you see right now with families in terms of breaking cycles?
Well, right now, the most important things, we have a lot of behavioral disorders. I would say more than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I have other books that kind of talk about how I believe we've gotten here as a society. But the fact is, it doesn't matter how we've gotten here. What matters is that we're dealing with it, period. So we're dealing with behavioral disorders. We're dealing with whether, it's kids with ADHD or kids that are on the spectrum or parents who are on the spectrum or have basic so I mean you have all this realm of issues and then you have whether a parent has been divorced, remarried. So we have a whole bunch of I would say variables that we're having to deal with and then enter in motherhood. And so what's happened over time is that the government has tried to put band-aids on a lot of things they do with health or whatever, and it's not fixing the problem, it's making it worse. And so as people, we're indoctrinated, I hope you don't mind me going here, we're indoctrinated to think that other people are the solution. But I'm always here to say, Mama, you are the solution. You can be the hero of your household. And so the more we take ownership back of our children and the more we say, I am the one that God has given to my children, to minister to them, to teach them, to protect them, rather than being consistently let down by a system that is actually trying to break our homes even more than they are fixing them. So it is a big it's a big concept here, but it's actually, I believe, factual. I'm a stats person, and so I know that the public school system and the public health system have let our families down. So when a mom takes back the reins and says, I'm going to take care of my kids' health, I'm going to take care of their education, I'm capable, I might have to learn some things, things will begin to change in the home like they've never seen before. And it'll be so empowering.
Do you homeschool your kids?
They have all been homeschooled. I've never sat a day in school in their lives, not the 8 to the 27-year-old.
That's amazing. I've had a lot of guests on this show talking about the failures of the educational system
Yes.
and a lot of pro homeschooling people that I've had on the show too. So that's really inspirational for your whole family. Share some of that with some of the joys of that and why people would be so afraid to take on homeschooling.
So some of the joys of homeschooling are just being with your kids. And that is also part of the culture that we have to develop within our home. And the Mother of Change book does talk about family culture. And right now, what is family culture? Culture is if the family can't be united, then the society can't be united. And so we have been taught how to separate the family, whether it's through youth groups, through all the sports, through everything that's going on outside of us. We become, like this, the proverbial soccer mom who is just a taxi cab driver or an Uber driver by day. And so what I have found is that homeschooling our kids brings them home with us. We get to be around them more. So we get to learn about them more. We get the opportunity to truly make mistakes, but we also have the opportunity to make things better. And so our kids right now who are going through the public school system, once upon a time, I'm sure you've heard, socialization. How are your kids going to socialize? But the fact is that we've had a whole generation that has gone through the public school that are dealing with chronic anxiety, who have so much lack of identity, and there's so much confusion, and there's a lack of confidence. So we know now, I can say with full confidence that we know that the socialization that the public school is providing has failed us. So show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So I am around my kids all day. And if you're around my kids, you're going to see that they're not like regular kids. And it's because who are they around all day? They're around a mom who cares for them, who's discipling them, who is teaching them critical thinking. I would say the number one, my my favorite part of homeschooling is teaching my kids critical thinking, to question things, to ask questions, to not always have to agree with what I have to even say. If they can get proof, if they can give stats, mama wants to hear. If they can give a scripture and they don't agree with me, mama wants to hear. And so whether my kids are 26 or 6, if they have a question, concern, or they disagree, they're allowed to do that. The public school is not like that. They're created to, this is what everybody's going to read at the same time, at the same level, and kids are not. My kids, I had a kid who learned how to read at 2, self-taught. He's a child prodigy. And I had another one that was having a struggle at 6, 7, or 8. So kids need to be taught differently at different times. So I would say even that is synonymous with what's the favorite part of homeschooling, is that teaching kids at where the level that they're at to the extent that they need to learn.
Oh, that is so true. Because in public schools, when you've got 20, 25 kids in a room, you actually have to slow it down to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Then you've got these really bright kids that are bored and then they get into trouble because they got all this anxiety of sitting in a chair all day long. I think it's
Yeah.
just amazing to me how parents will they don't want to explore the option of homeschooling because maybe because of work or because they're afraid that they don't know how to do that. And then they'll fight so hard to get their vaccine exemptions so that they can
Right.
put their kids into the public school system to be indoctrinated for life. They've got
Exactly.
these teachers that they don't know who they are or what they're teaching, or they're emphasizing the pronoun of the week or of the day or whatever. They've got 40 hours with their kids. And I think I did an interview with somebody who said that on average, parents spend 19 hours a week one-on-one with their children, and then they
Yes.
farm it out to somebody that they don't even know what they're teaching them for 40 to 50 hours a week.
Yes, and I mean, if I can just be transparent with you, what it's done is, and it's by design. It is by design that they have made moms feel ill-equipped. They have made moms feel overwhelmed, and they want to provide the quote-unquote solution by we know how to educate them, we know how to take care of them, we know how to teach them about who they are, which we know that it's all the opposite. They've taught them confusion. They have taught them how to, disrespect parents or disrespect society more than they have taught respect and honor. And so I always say God chose the least, like the least. Chooses the fools to confound the wise, because I was born to a teen mom who was only 14 when she had me in the ghetto of Los Angeles. I'm been raised with, our family's teen pregnancies for generations. To this very day, teen pregnancies are still going on. So my mom was an original chain breaker. She took me out of the ghetto of Los Angeles, taught us about integrity, taught us about honor, and how to be respectful, and all these different traits, and wanted us to do better. And I just want to share with you guys that when I had kids, I didn't homeschool them because I thought I wanted to give them some great education. I didn't even know what phonics was. I had to get a dictionary back in the day. There was no computer dictionary. It was just like, get the dictionary. What is phonics? I don't even understand what that means. And so if EmmaSara can homeschool successfully, truly anybody can. And I'm at the point right now where I'm so far removed from homeschooling because I have my kids help each other that if a third grader comes to me, and I'm just going to be honest with you with the math problem, I get a little concerned, like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm going to be able to answer the question today. I've been doing this for 26 years with 8 kids I have one child who's finishing his first year in college at the age of 13. He's done with his
Hmm.
first year. And I have my other son who's graduating with his BA at 19 in a month. So he's finished his 4 years of college up at the age of 19. And so all of my kids have super high accolade, but it's not because EmmaSara was so capable. It was because I gave them the right tools, because God showed me how they each individually need to learn, and I just gave them the right tools. And God used me, a woman, and I have gone to college for a couple of years. Do I remember what I learned in college? Not much. Okay. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's just the truth. And so we put so much pressure on ourselves. And God didn't say that we have to send our kids to public school. He said, train up a child in the way that when they're young, in the way they should go. So when they're older, they won't depart. And he wasn't talking about even reading, writing, and arithmetic. He was talking about character. He was talking about understanding the word and the Bible. And so I just take it all seriously. I take it verbatim. And the book that wrote, which is on my shelf right here, is literally a woman who said, Lord, I don't want to have kids. I met my husband to be, and I said, there will be no kids in your future. I don't trust the world. The world is evil. I was raised around teens getting pregnant, teens being violated by family, friends, whoever. And I didn't want to have kids. And when my husband decided to marry me, he knew I would not be having kids. So this was a big deal when he changed his mind a year later. And I was very upset. I told God, I don't trust you. I don't see that you're really protecting kids in the world. And he had to change my heart and show me that it wasn't that he was not doing his job, but it was that the innate ability that a mother has been given has been drowned out, or moms are too busy, or they're lacking awareness. And so kids fall between the cracks. And so I'm just telling you, in my spiritual era, I heard the Lord say, if you follow me and do what I say, and how to raise your kids, I'm going to teach you how to protect them. You have to be obedient. And so that was my book. That you said, how did that book come about? That was God showing a woman who didn't trust God, who thought the world was too crazy and scary, how to raise kids. And that was my fruit, is what it's in the book.
Did I hear you correctly that you said your 13-year-old is about to graduate from college?
My 13-year-old is in his completed his first semester
In
of,
college?
not semester, his first year of college. Yes.
Oh
He's,
my goodness.
yeah, so his first year of college, he's an organic chemist, and he's his first year. And I heard God tell me to get him into organic chemistry when he was 7. And within the first year, he was assessed by an organic professor for Harvard at a college level understanding when he was only 7. And that would have never happened in the public school. I'm a woman who listened to God. I did what God said, and God honored every time I heard him. God honored what I heard, and I didn't have a reason. I didn't know how to do any of it. So when I'm saying that EmmaSara can do it and you don't have to, I don't know how to do organic chemistry. I got organic chemistry for dummies to see if I could help them. I was way too dumb to do organic chemistry for dummies. I had never, nothing. Like my son talks to me about it, and I'm like, that's great, son. He tells me all this stuff. I'm like, that's great, son. I have no idea what you're talking about, but God bless you. And so he's 13 now, and he's been doing organic chemistry since he was 7. So, and it's not because we've had all this money. In 2018, we only made 26,000 for our family of 10. We lost everything overnight. We were living in an RV, 235 square feet, a season without any running water or electricity. And God stripped us of everything and put us in a literal desert with tarantulas, rattlesnakes, and no thousands of acres with not a single tree in the harsh Chihuahuan desert, and stripped us of everything. We have a whole testimony. So God used the least likely to show every mom that whatever you've gone through, EmmaSara's been through a lot, and I've been able to do it successfully, not because of who I am, but because of who he is.
I think you talked about that in your book about that season of time you were living. It was like
Yeah.
235 square feet or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. 235 square foot RV. Yes.
And how did you fit all those humans in that small space?
We had kids sleep, and I kid you not, we had some kids sleeping on the dashboard of the RV. So the baby slept on the RV. We just put a big body pillow on it. The baby slept on the top. By the evening, we would take out a plank and we would put the plank over the front captain seats of the car and I mean, the driver's seats and put another body pillow on that. One kid slept on that. One kid slept on top of the counter. We turned that into a bed by evening, and one slept underneath and it was a door that we put on top of the RV armchairs to make another bed. And we had like three kids sleep on the living room, like little sofa. It was crazy. Some of my kids have some trauma for it, to be honest with you. I don't, some of them saw it as an adventure, but it's all about how you perceive life. And some of them saw it as some pressure points. But there are some times when I'm giving my testimony where I'll just break down and cry because nobody will ever know how difficult that season was of our life. And it wasn't that long ago. It was crazy. It was difficult.
And it was for several years, if I remember right, wasn't it?
2014, we moved into it June 2014, and we weren't out of the desert until February 2019.
So 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my
hmm
goodness. Wow. Wow. Well, your testimony is just amazing about that. And when you have that many kids all close together at that length of time, and they're pretty close in age, how do you have the balance of grace between grace and discipline without being compromising? How do you balance that out?
So I am extremely on the nth degree into accountability. And so I'm honestly not known as the gracious one. Mercy is not my gift, but that's okay because God gives us all an individual ministerial gift. And I am a behavior coach, so I'm certified in disc behavior, so I understand the principle of behavior, but then I also have, various modes of coaching. So there's ministerial types of subsets and there's behavioral subsets. And so because I know mine, because I know my children's subsets, then I can be gracious in the areas where I know, well, they're this type of behavior, they're acting out a specific way, or their go-to emotion. Mine, I'm a captain. I'm like 99. If it could go to 1,000, it probably would. Which is probably why I can juggle so much at one time a lot. But that's also why I don't have the grace measure as some people would. So I would say this is that I lean into my relationship with God. I require accountability. It's a non-negotiable in our household. Respect, accountability, gratitude. These are all things that, and I write about the four non-negotiables in my book, but these are all things that are required in the McMillion household. So we have a family mission statement. The McMillions are a generation of leaders who are ambassadors of Christ who work with integrity and high energy to provide powerful tools for life. So that dictates everything that we do in our house, whether it's ministry, whether it's work or projects. So back to the grace measure is that I know that my kids are human. I know that I'm human. And so the number one thing I will say this, so you remember easy, is repent and repent often. Say sorry often, teach your kids to repent to your kids, and that goes such a long way. And that's where the grace measure comes in. Even if I'm high accountability and I can be more of a military mom than anything, the number one thing is this: if I have been incorrect, if I have been harsh, if I could have said something differently, I will never stop. I will never be so prideful that I won't apologize for that. And that goes a long, long ways.
What are the four non-negotiables?
So the non-negotiables are to you have to be respectful. Lying, if anybody hates lying, EmmaSara, I don't even accept little bitty lies. Like if you're not telling the full truth, you're telling a lie. So lying is a very big thing in our household. Some kids lie a lot, and some parents don't really do anything about it. They just say, "Oh, he's just a kid," or they over gloss it. So lying is absolute non-negotiable. Uh, having gratefulness. There's a lot of kids in this society right now who are takers, they're consumers. And so it's kind of synonymous when I say that they have to have gratitude because I'm teaching them to be contributors rather than consumers. Instead of always looking to take, they have to be looking to contribute. And so gratitude is a non-negotiable. And you might say, well, that's kind of crazy. How do you make a kid be grateful? By not allowing him to be always self or her, he or she to be selfish and, people give you something, say thank you. So there are all these little ways you can teach gratitude and then just remind them, you have XYZ, you should be grateful. If you're giving your kids something, I want my computer, I want my game, and you're constantly just giving them what they want and they have a poor attitude, you're not going to be, you're going to be feeding that rather than countering it. So you have to be grateful. And then manipulation is a non-negotiable. You cannot manipulate EmmaSara, you can't manipulate mama, you can't manipulate daddy. So in our household, it's a very strong rule. If I say no, a kid won't ever go to my husband to get a yes above that ever. Has it happened in the past? It's a couple tried early on in when we first got married, and it failed miserably for them. So my kids know that if I have said no to something, my husband is not going to say yes. If he's like, if your mother said no, it's not happening. So, and if daddy says no, they're not trying to go over what we say. So that would be no manipulating.
Oh, that's really, really good. Not to play one against the other because that happens all the time. That
Yes.
happens. And then it makes one parent be the bad guy and one parent be the good guy. And it sounds like you and your husband are on the same page about all of these things.
We have not everything all the time. I mean, we're not always but yes, because I want to be honest with you. I'm a totally transparent person. We do not have a perfect marriage, and if we've modeled anything for our kids, it's how to stay together no matter how upset you get with each other, right? That's what we've modeled for them is that the marriage is not based upon whether you like your husband or your wife for the moment. It's about staying in power and going to God and submitting to Him and having the fear of the Lord in everything that you do. And that's what we've modeled for our kids. Not perfection, but staying despite.
Oh, that's really good. Well, that's a really good place. For taking a short break here. So hold on to that thought. We're going to take a break and hear from our sponsors at AmericaOutloud.news. America Out Loud Talk Radio plays the Tenpenny Files on the iHeartRadio network every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you've missed any of these great conversations about these amazing books with these incredible authors, you can find them, the Tenpenny Files, on Spotify, Pandora, Apple, TuneIn, iTunes, and on my Substacks, drtenpenny.substack.com and tenpennywalkwithgod.substack.com, or you can find them most conveniently on our website at just drtenpenny.com, where you can just hover over the podcast tab and a window will drop down where it says all podcasts, and you can go and read them and go from there. We've got a great message coming from our sponsor. If you support our sponsors, they support us, and that is a really good thing for everybody. So we'll be right back with more from EmmaSara McMillion talking about becoming mother of change, strategies to build a kingdom family and combat darkness. The title says it all. We will be right back. My supplement line is called the Opti line, and we've been working with these formulations for many years and have years and years of documented success. Our best sellers are OptiMune, OptiVital Cleanse, and we've got a whole line of supplements that you can look at, the ones that I've hand selected and have used personally with my patients at Tenpenny Integrated Medical Center for almost 30 years. You can find out more by going to supplements.drtenpenny.com, and you get 10% off by using our code DRT10 for every day. But if you sign up for the monthly auto ship, if you're going to be on these supplements for an extended period of time, sign up for that because then you get 15% off. That's supplements.drtenpenny.com. Cardio Miracle is the whole health supplement. It's good for your heart, for your brain. It increases nitric oxide. It improves brain health and brain fog. It's really good for everything that ails you. And it's simple to take. It's a delicious powder you put into water first thing in the morning, and it's good for the rest of the day. Go to cardiomiracle.com/DRT to get your supplement today. Well, welcome back, everyone. Today's conversation is with EmmaSara McMillion to talk about her book, Becoming Mother of Change, Strategies to Build a Kingdom Family and Combat Darkness. Let me tell you a little bit more about today's guest. Now, I'm cherry picking from her very long and impressive bio. So let me just tell you a couple of things about EmmaSara. A proud mother of 8 highly entrepreneurial children, EmmaSara is the author of multiple Amazon bestsellers. She's the creator of C.H.A.N.G.E system, which we're going to talk a little bit more here in a minute, a transformative framework that helps families break generational cycles and build strong value-driven homes. EmmaSara is the host of Ignite Voices TV, a fearless, issues-based talk show co-hosted with her son. She is also the host of the Mother of Change show, a dynamic faith-based talk show. She believes in protecting children is not a political issue, it is a moral imperative. And I could spend the rest of the show talking about all the accomplishments that she's done and all the things she's involved with, how she's involved with all these things and having 8 kids and homeschooling them. It's just that is in itself is so inspiring. So EmmaSara, thank you so much for being on the show today and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You,
Appreciate it.
you know, your book, Becoming Mother of Change, you address a mindset and emotional patterns. And you say how much of effective parenting is really an internal transformation as opposed to an external strategy?
Wow. That is a very powerful question. And because I'm so analytical and a stats mind, I would like love to give you a very precise stat, but I would say if it is about, if you're going to weigh it, I would honestly say probably 50-50. If you're going to look at the external, what you're doing, which is taking action, I would say, right? And then you have the mindset. And mindset is huge. And I mean, a part of me wants to say it's 80% or 90% mindset, but the truth is you can have things going on in your head, and some people just don't take action with what they're doing in their daily systems or how they're actually executing. And so I would say some people don't deal with the mindset whatsoever, and it's like 100%. They're just surviving, they're just going along, not really thinking about strategy, not really thinking about consequence, and just feeding, laundry, putting out fires. And so they're just action, action, action. And so because so much of their day is about 90% action, 10% strategy, and mostly maybe 10% emotional, complaining or distressed or fearful or depressed or whatever, that is a mindset thing. And what happens is that this is a mom who's getting overwhelmed. So,
Mm.
you know, I would say you have to be balanced with it. And that's the only reason, like I said, logically, I want to say it's 90% mindset. But the truth is that if you are balanced and you are 50% having the strategy, you're taking time to look at what you're doing in your day, taking personal accountability, and then you're taking the 50% of your time and then creating lifestyle choices, keeping your kids accountable and keeping yourself accountable. If you can be on that spectrum or the fulcrum where you're balanced, I think that that would be the ideal spot to be like, I'm giving equal amount of my day towards mindset as I am towards the actions that are going to produce the results that I'm looking for. But I'll tell you right now, if you are failing, you feel like you're failing, not that you are a failure, but if you feel like you're failing, if you feel that you're sinking, I would say it's probably 90% of the problem initially, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how much time do you spend working on yourself to be a better mother and more patient and more understanding, and then to follow like the 4 non-negotiables that you already listed for us, versus worrying about the strategies for each one of your children out there? How much time do you spend for yourself?
I would say I do spend a great amount of my day self-reflecting. I'm completely this morning, okay, is a great example. I was out of my bed no more than 10 minutes and I had already had a full reflection where I woke up just because I was having some dreams, and I woke up in full contemplation, thinking about the dreams I just had that kind of were mirroring life right now. And I called my husband up and I just said, you know what, I had been awake for 10 minutes. I don't even know. Yeah, like I didn't even get changed yet. I called my husband. I said, I just woke up. I had this dream. This is what we need to do. This is the kind of action we need to take. This is how we're going to combat the enemy. These are the steps we're going to take. That was like within the first 10 minutes of me waking up. So
Wow.
I honestly, I don't, as my kids, as my witness, I don't turn off from continually course correcting all throughout my day. I'm completely aware mother. I am a strategic mom. So I'm kind of the nth degree. So I mean, I don't expect every mom to be as because it's my calling. Okay, so I'm supposed to be teaching. I'm supposed to be instructing. So I think God's given me an extra measure to always be on. I don't ever turn off, to be honest. If unless I'm sleeping, and you saw I was sleeping, I was still in my dreams, having these. I was still processing. So to be honest with you, I would just say to the mom out there, you might say, Mr. That sounds overwhelming. I would say that don't put the pressure on yourself to be like EmmaSara. I would say to be the very best version of yourself and just show up to the best of your capability and never compare yourself to anybody, no matter how good you think they're doing, or how much of an inspiration they are. Don't compare, grow from them, glean from them. Pick and, I go somewhere and I'm like, wow, I love those drapes, and I love the way that tree looks over there. And when I get home, EmmaSara has her own decor. So I'm like, that tree would be good here. That picture would be good here. And then I make my own home, right? And so when you go through life, you shouldn't say, I want to be EmmaSara and I'm not meeting up. And I've had this happen to me with some of my mentees, like, I'm just never going to be good enough. And they've told me, I've counseled them there. I'm so sorry, EmmaSara was totally the enemy. I was trying to be too much like you, beating myself up. And I'm like, don't do that. Love yourself for who God has made you. And I can be more hard-nosed. You might be kind, more gentle, and that's totally okay. So I need to be working on watching people who are more kind and gentle, so that I can be more kind and gentle. But you may need to learn from somebody like me who's a little bit more gruff, a little bit more rough, and then somewhere in the middle, you get balance. So I think that's probably what I would say to the mom who is asking that question.
That's beautiful because it's really true.
Yeah.
Meet people where they are.
Yes.
Tell us about your change system that you've created.
So the change system is, like I said, my mom was 14 when she had me, the original mother of change, and God put that title in my heart. That wasn't from EmmaSara's conception. I really heard the Lord say to make a mother of change book, and the mother of change movement are mothers who are chain breakers and change makers. And so that means we don't have to adhere to the generational brokenness of those who have gone before us. And Psalm 78 says that we will not be, and it's our family's mantra, it's our family's verse, that in Isaiah 58. And I want to encourage parents out there and moms to have a family verse, to have something that you guys build your foundation on. So Psalm 78 says, we will not be like the generations before us, a stubborn and rebellious generation. And we will teach those within our household of the law and the goodness of it. And so I would say that we need to just be at a place right now where we see our household, like I said, we're just going to take self inventory of everybody in our household and teach our kids to be the best that they can be, not compare themselves. We're not comparing ourselves to other parents, but we're all in a position of growing. So I've taught my kids this hands down. We are never we're never at a position where we have arrived. We're always going to be growing, just like a tree. It will never reach the sky, but it never stops growing. We should always be attaining to something more and further beyond ourselves. So,
So you have it spelled out like change with C period H
oh
period
yeah.
A. What
So
does
yes,
that,
on the
what does,
acronym. So for the acronym, yes, I will
yeah.
say that because that's important. So I'm giving you the philosophy behind change. Okay, so change is a one-liner is growing, continually growing, but change also is connected and correlated with protection. So we're growing, but we're also, as parents, we are the main protectors of our children. And so, like I said, I never wanted to have kids. And when I didn't want to have kids, is because I thought the world was too dangerous. So God said change. Okay. This is the acronym. And this is what the foundation of how I raise my kids is. We need to be cognitive of the voice of God. Okay. Or we need actually C.H. here. I'm cognitive, not the voice of God. I'm sorry. Let me start over. C is to be cognitive of what is going on around us. Like I said, instead of just being force fed information or being indoctrinated by society, the schools, the government, or whatever, no, we're stepping back. We're going to be cognitive. I'm not going to just believe everything I hear. I'm going to step back and say, why am I being taught this? Why are they trying to force me to believe this? Cognitive. Okay. H is to hear. We need to hear the voice of God. A lot of moms are so busy. If you ask them how's your prayer life, they say, "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm running around. I don't really have time, or I get sleepy." Or Satan does not want a mama to pray. Okay, he just doesn't want us to pray. He wants us to be powerless, and there is power in prayer. So here is connected with prayer. So hear the voice of God, and then aware. This is all kind of connected, a little bit similar. They spill over, but aware of our surroundings is more about the dangers to our children, whether it's the dangers that are posed within their environment they're in, dangers of what our kids are exposed to at school, aware of an uncle, an aunt, a bad influence. So be aware of your kids' surroundings. And then N is notice. We need to notice the signs that our children are giving off. When it comes to like children being violated or hurt, mishandled, they're not going to say things like 90% of the time they're not going to say a word. So a parent needs to notice the sign. This child just went to a cousin's house, now they're bedwetting. A child's first day at school and now they're having frightful terror dreams. Or so notice the signs. Maybe they have a new best friend and they were always respectful and honoring, and now they are looking at dark things and occultic witchcraft stuff. Notice the signs of what's going on with your children, specific with their behavior. So the N is more connected with behavior. And then G is gear up for the battle. I have a mom manual. The Bible is helpful. It's instructions for many things, but there are a lot of things that it doesn't give a mom in detail. Mom is like, what am I supposed to do about X, Y, Z situation? Well, go to the mom manual, because I've tried to cover just about there's every area in there that I could think of, even civil responsibility. Everything is in there. And does it take a village to raise a child? I address all those things in there. So gear up for the battle. And there's more resources than just EmmaSara's book. I surrounded myself with so much information, books, conferences, Stormy American, The Power of a Praying Parent, kind of books, and Elizabeth George back in the day, Above Rubies when my kids were first growing up. And so that's gearing up for the battle. That's where we're getting the resources. And then once you get to the point where you've been cognitive, you've been praying, hearing from God, you have been aware of the situation, looking at what's going on with your environment, changing that, noticing that your kid is now doing better than worse because you've done all those things, gearing up for the battle. And now you're like, I actually know some things I didn't know 10 years ago. Now you're ready to engage. That means you're a mother of change, you're paying attention, you're aware. And so that means now you're at the park, you're at the school, you're not just taking care of your own child, you're watching for other people's children. And you're now aware that, because a lot of parents are so overwhelmed, they don't have time to think about other people's kids. And so right now, we're in a position in society where people are so burnt out and tired. Kids are getting hurt left and right because nobody's paying attention, everybody's overwhelmed, and nobody isn't engaging in the battle. And so that E is helpful for society and for the community, because when we become mothers of change, we're not just better for our children, but we're better for the children of our communities.
Ooh, that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And where do people engage with your system?
So they can go to emmasara.com, and that kind of spreads out to all the other things that I do. Or if they want to go directly to the mocfoundation.org, the Mother of Change Foundation, I do courses on there. I have some free material. I have books. I have a situational awareness course that I'm going to be doing live here on June 12th in Huntsville. And that is going to be very systematic, teaching parents how to protect their children in a very comprehensive way. And then I'm planning to create that online too. So if is anybody who is interested, they can join the contact list or the newsletter to find out about that as well. But yes, I'm on Amazon. I'm on all social media, EmmaSara McMillion. I have clips that I put out all the time for encouragement. So
So,
EmmaSara.com.
so repeat that again a little slower of where people can engage with the conference that you're going to do here. And
Okay, so if they want to know about the upcoming course, they can go to the mocfoundation.org, and MOC is Mother of Change.
and the dates,
That is June 12th, the
June 12th,
evening of June 12th. It's a Friday.
it's a
Yeah,
Friday evening. So and you are located in Huntsville?
Huntsville, Alabama, and it'll be at Calhoun College. Yes.
Okay. And at that point in time, will it also be available online?
So what I'm going to do is I'll probably film that one and just get some content for that, and then I will publicize that as far as being able to do a live Q&A, which I always find is helpful, especially in that type of course. So I will be announcing that.
Very good. So we'll make sure that all that gets into the show
And
notes
I
so
do
people
want to
can.
say that I do fly. I've had several people fly me out from coast to coast to actually teach it to groups, churches. It's called situational awareness. And I've had grandfathers and fathers actually say, "EmmaSara, I thought we were keeping our kids safe until I took your course." So it's
Oh,
pretty,
wow. Wow,
yes.
that's good to know. So tell us a little bit more about the Mother of Change Foundation, about your mission, and how do you translate that into real life?
The Mother of Change Foundation is a foundation that is focused on reaching. My goal is to give resources into the hands of 1 million struggling moms in our nation and to help them break chains. Like I said, Mother of Change is breaking chains so that they can break off generational broken mindsets so they can be transformed in the way they think and the way they live.
And
So,
yeah, tell us a little bit more.
so part of that is, like I said, I've done conferences through the Mother of Change Foundation, and we have done different. I did a tour called Project 10 one time because God put it on my heart that in Sodom and Gomorrah, He would have spared the nation for 10 righteous people. And so I went and I had a tour for 10 regions to bring this message of Mother of Change. And I had moms who, went through this. It's part of the Mother of Change Foundation who went through the different courses and just said, "EmmaSara, because I am part of the Mother of Change Foundation and the courses, whether they were biblical teaching, instruction, parenting, teaching, mindset, as I'm very heavy. Mother of Change is very focused on breaking generational mindsets, like I said. So that means, going and doing the work. Okay, there's spiritual work, there's emotional work, and then that impacts our physical work. And so the Mother of Change movement is about getting to those moms and getting them the resources they need. And sometimes, it is a prayer call. We have prayer calls every Monday at 9:30 Central Standard Time. I've had moms who that's like a lifeline for them. And so we have different things, whether it's an online course, prayer, or actually going and speaking at conferences. We kind of go all those areas. And then always my books are available as well to them.
Well, this has just been, it's just so much. And God has blessed you with so much and filled your heart to where you can express it and get it out to all of these people. Your energy of wanting to reach people, it so comes across and it's so really important. We barely touched the surface on this life manual because it's a pretty hefty book and it's around there forever. Why would you encourage people to buy this book and even give it as a gift to young mothers, like I did? I bought it and sent it to a young mother.
Because this is family strategy. I want to say to the mom out there, okay, this is why it's great for you. It's great for your book. I'm just going to give you some of the chapter titles of the first one. You deserve honor. And it's these are whole chapters on this. You deserve honor. Mom confident, accountability, and this is just like I said, accountability brings growth. Meltdown mama. There are some mamas that melt down. I'm going to teach you how to not melt down. There is rehearse the pain mama. Sometimes we just get into a cycle of rehearsing pain. I'm going to teach you how to break that cycle. And then we have breaking unhealthy patterns, setting standards, consistency, how to raise confident kids. So this book is not just for how to parent, how to get kids to do good things. I've always said that I am not raising good kids, I'm raising godly kids. And sometimes godly kids do dumb things because a righteous man falls 7 times. It's about teaching them to get back up instead of looking good for the camera. And so this is going to help a mom be confident. It's going to help her know her personal value. And by the end of this book, a mom is going to be more transformed for herself than anybody. And because she can transform for herself, then she can be better for everybody.
That is so succinctly said. And, I really like the fact that it's broken down. Now, I don't have kids, but I read through your book anyways, because I just thought it was, and like I said, I immediately, as soon as I had gone through it, I went out to Amazon and bought it and shipped it to this friend of mine who actually lives in Texas and I live in Ohio. So I sent it to her because I thought this is a manual that she could use for a long time to raise this beautiful little boy that she has. And so
And I
think
would,
about
I would, yes, I would like to say that it's on Audible. My books are on Audible. I know moms have, because you might say, I'm Sarah, like that's pretty thick. You can, my husband has started listening to it, and he's like maybe a month ago since it's been on Audible, and he said, "Hun, there's really good stuff in there." I'm like, "I'm so proud of you," and I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you finally got to listen to my book." But anyway, he's been listening to it. So I will say this also that I had a mom read it in an entire summer 400 pages. Okay, I gave her so much accolade and bonus and prizes and everything. But her husband said, "EmmaSara, your book so changed my life that I want a Father of Change book." That's what he said. They had I'll never forget this because they had a very autistic son who was nonverbal. They were having major challenges with him. He was about 10 or 11, and he was watching my videos at that time, even what I was doing on social. And the mom was going through the book material, and she said, EmmaSara, for the first time, he brought me coffee. And he said, like, here, mom. And she said it was after something you had prayed online and he was listening to you. And then she said, like, something just woke up in his brain and he took an action. And so this is not about me, it's about God's work for moms. It's for you guys. He wants you to succeed.
Well, Emma Sarah, you have created a whole world already with the things that you've done, and your children are going to be pretty magnificent, godly children too, of the way that you've raised them. I mean, but from this book, what you have created, becoming a mom, becoming mother of change, that mothers really can become change. Are you going to write a father's book?
I don't, I don't, probably not a father's book to be honest with you, but I have a book that dads can read with their wives, and it's called What Your Pastor Doesn't Want You to Read. And that is for both male and females. And that was on a bestseller list for Amazon. And that's dealing with the spiritual atmosphere and what's going on in society. God gave me a prophetic book, gave me a dream. I wrote it in 14 days, had it published by 21 days, and it was a bestseller. And that
Wow.
definitely will help a whole family be on track spiritually.
And what is the name of that again?
What your pastor doesn't want you to read.
Oh my goodness, that sounds really interesting just from the title. That
I don't
sounds
know if I
great.
have that one up here. Yes, if I had it up here, I would share. Yes, but it is. It is kind of controversial, but it is honoring because I do believe that there are good pastors, but
Well,
there have been some things that need to be addressed in the church. So yes.
Well, Emma, Sarah, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for your work, for your passion, for your inspiration. We'll make sure we get a lot of those things in the show notes, and hopefully that people that are close to Huntsville will be able to come to your conference that you're having in June. And thank you so much for all the work that you do, all the inspiration that you're given to so many generational parents that I would say this book, from what I've read through it, for young parents who are brand new to the
Yes.
parenting game, for parents that are struggling with their teenagers, for grandparents who are kind of raising their kids now. There's something in there for everyone. So you can find her book, like you said, on Amazon, or you can go to our store, which is bookstore.dr10penny.com. We list all of our authors there. So thank you for your work. Thank you for everybody who's joined us here today, and for people who've listened in the future. And I will close out with one of my favorite verses from the Bible. I close all of my podcasts with, whether they are live or pre-recorded.